Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is Belle, and this is Books with Belle. So today we were talking about The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah, and Kristin Hannah is such an acclaimed author. She wrote a few other books that I really love. So I read The Nightingale, and then I also read The Great Alone. Both of those books I want to go over with you guys because I thought that they were just amazing and probably some of my all-time favorite books. So nonetheless, The Four Winds is also one of my top tier books because her writing style is just so intuitive, intriguing, beautiful, deep, raw, and she really just gets you attached to the characters. You know how there's those books that you read and you just feel like you don't want it to end, and when it ends you're so sad because you just love the characters so much. That is definitely one of these books. And I really just love how this story in particular, it's set in 1934 Texas during the Great Depression, during the Dust Bowl. And I thought that was a little bit of a unique genre, location, and all of that because I feel like you don't find too many really deep, raw books on that time period per se. I can say that this is a little interesting, but I loved reading American Girl doll books when I was growing up. And so Kit, who was one of the characters during the Great Depression, she would, in the little sections, they would talk about the Dust Bowl and, you know, people suffering out there on top of being during the Great Depression and all of that. And so I kind of thought back to that because that's the only other book that I really read about it. But you learn so much, and in this book I feel like you also learn about the government's role in the Dust Bowl and how it impacted those hardworking farmers out there. And I just really love how Kristen attaches us so much to the characters. And so this particular story is about Elsa, and she grew up well-to-do. She really didn't have to work for anything. She just kind of sat in her room. She loved reading books, and that was kind of her life. And she never really thought that she was good enough or capable of doing more. And she ends up kind of making a change at some point during this time, and she finds this Italian guy that she thinks is really handsome and she likes him. And so he actually they get together with each other, and she ends up getting pregnant, which is obviously not good because they weren't married. And he didn't really like her. He just kind of used her, and she really viewed him as her whole world. And so this happens, and her parents basically send her out. They completely don't want anything to do with her. She's an embarrassment to the family, and they send her off to this Italian guy's home. And so obviously Rafe is his name. His parents are not happy about this by any means because he's intelligent. He has to go to college. He was actually going to be the first one to go to college in his family. And if you're thinking about this time period too, with the Italian immigrants coming into the country, they really were working hard. They were very focused to build themselves and build wealth, careers, all of that, be educated. And so they worked so hard. They saved all their money and they put everything they could in him so that he could go to college. And here they're now faced with this situation that is less than desirable. So they end up getting married, and he has to completely give up going to college, which was also his dream because he wanted to go there and be able to make that way for himself. But you end up finding out through all of this that there's so much more to life than those goals, but it's also a story about the American dream and each individual's American dream and what America is and where you're finding that dream. So I just really love how it takes you across this journey about her having a child and then the people that she meets along the way and just becoming this resilient character because she, like I mentioned in the beginning, she really didn't know how to work at all. I mean, she didn't use her hands in anything with hard labor, and then here she's literally forced to prove herself and show this Italian family that she can be just as strong, just as tough, and really work sun up to sundown. And I love the way Kristen describes all of this throughout because it's with such articulation and detail. And like I mentioned already, how you get so attached to the characters, but I feel like it really brings you on that struggle that they were going through and just how desperate times were because it was the Great Depression. But on top of it, it was the Dust Bowl. So there was that whole other side of damage to it and just complete desolation when you think about all of their hard work just being wiped out in a matter of minutes from the storms. So I'll kind of leave it at that for you in terms of what the story is about, not give you too many spoilers, but I did want to just at least read the prologue for you so that you can get a little sense of it, because again, I just feel like Kristin Hannah is such a well-versed author, and the subject matter that she's pulling on is incredible, and I can't wait to talk about her other 2 books that were favorites of mine next time. So in the prologue for The Four Winds, it starts with, "Hope is a coin I carry, an American penny, given to me by a man I came to love. There were times in my journey when it felt as if that penny and the hope it represented were the only things that kept me going. I came west in search of a better life, but my American dream was turned into a nightmare by poverty and hardship and greed. These past few years have been a time of things lost, jobs, homes, food. The land we loved turned on us, broke us all, even the stubborn old men who used to talk about the weather and congratulate each other on the season's bumper wheat crop. A man's got to fight out there to make a living, they'd say to each other, a man. It was always the men. They seemed to think it meant nothing to cook and clean and bear children and tend gardens, but we women of the Great Plains worked from sunup to sundown too, toiled on wheat farms until we were as dry and baked as the land we loved. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I swear I can still taste the dust." So that's the prologue. I hope it gives you a good interpretation of where the story will go, but I think it's a kind of a unique connection here. But if you have ever seen the movie Interstellar, they say a similar type of quote, how they can still sort of taste the dust or feel it. And it just shows how much that dust was just ingrained in their lives and how it just covered them in everything. They could just breathe it in, and that just stuck with them. And that was truly a part of the whole experience. So again, Kristin Hannah really just lays that out for us and helps us to experience it too. And truly with all the grittiness of it involved. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if you read this, what your thoughts were on it, what you thought of the characters and the story, and if you're a Kristin Hannah fan. So thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.